Chapter 8 Chaotic Times. Ever since I saw that figure in the shade, nothing has felt right. I know it's still there. I know it's still watching. Even Celestia and Luna admit to feeling uneasy about something. Whatever that humanoid figure was, it was most definitely not friendly. I knew I'd have to deal with some kind of monster eventually, but I never expected it to be like this. It wasn't like some beast. It wasn't like some demon from Tartarus that had escaped to cause havoc. No. The feeling I got from being watched by this creature was something more. For some reason, that figure seemed familiar. Not like I had seen it before, but like I knew what it was, but at the same time I didn't. The more I thought about it, the more confused I became. Eventually, I just stopped thinking about it. There would be a time where I would eventually find my answers, but I just had to wait. Eventually, I just stopped thinking about it. There would be a time where I would eventually find my answers. I just had to wait. Besides, there were other things to worry about and focus on, like my birthday party that would take place the following day. Wasp and Zeri were nervous about attending, given that they couldn't really create pony disguises that well, but could turn into small animals and insects just fine. They were still young and a little underdeveloped in terms of their natural powers. It would come in practice. Celestia hoped that the party would be a pleasant distraction from the unpleasant atmosphere amused by that silhouette, and I hope so too. I was looking forward to seeing all the ponies again. It had been a while since I had last seen Twilight and her friends. Perhaps she's bringing Starlight Glimmer with her so I can finally meet her. While I was pondering who would be attending, my thoughts came to a certain individual that Celestia had told me about, and said individual happened to appear the second I thought of his name. Discord, spirit of chaos and disharmony, rose out of the ground in front of me and glared down with glowing red eyes. He looked like some kind of furry-OC maker gone wrong, but somehow right at the same time. I had a feeling nothing about this guy was going to make sense, so I wouldn't try to look for any kind of explanation regarding his appearance or actions. I wasn't affected by his glare, mostly because I knew he wouldn't be a danger and he just wasn't scary looking. He caught on fast and frowned as the glow of his eyes ceased, frowning at me in disappointment. After making what I could only assume was some kind of old reference that I couldn't make any sense of, he began floating around me, analyzing me and stroking his small beard in thought. Once he was done looking me over, he asked what my species was and what we were while he summoned some kind of folding chair, sat down in it, and summoned a glass of chocolate milk, only to drink the glass while the milk remained still. I told him what I was and told him that humans have no clear purpose. We're just kind of there, and it's up to us to shape our own futures. Granted, most just tend to follow a crowd and don't try to follow their own dreams, due to financial limitations or lack of motivation, but a good deal of humans do achieve their goals while keeping stable lives. He then asked what humans have done in history and recent events. For a spirit of chaos, I was surprised to find him so interested in me and my species. From what I knew, he wasn't one for sitting still too long without causing mischief, but he just sat there and listened. I could only guess that he never expected to find something he knew nothing about, and was intent on learning as much as he could. I just hoped to whatever deity was watching over me that he wouldn't try to claw his way into the human world or try to create clones of me or something like that. I told him what I knew about my planet's history, including the wars and advancements in technology. As I finished talking, he laughed, saying something about us being a chaotic race in between his laughter. I couldn't completely disagree, so I shrugged it off and asked him what he really wanted from me. His laughter ceased as he lowered himself to the ground and looked me dead in the eye. He then said that he could possibly return me to the human world with his powers. This made me stop for a moment due to both shock and slight confusion. He told me that he has torn holes in reality to other universes before, and was wondering if I'd like to be returned to where I was born. To my own surprise, I immediately turned down his offer. I knew there was much I needed to do here. I knew that my life was here. There was nothing for me back on Earth. I didn't even consider it home anymore. My home was in Equestria, that much I knew. He looked at me for a moment before shrugging, saying it was my choice and it didn't really matter to him what I chose. He was just curious as to what my answer would be. Before I could say anything more, he began to float up into the air, telling me I'd see him at the party before he snapped his fingers and vanished. The next day was the day of the party. The main dance hall had been decorated with blue and black colored decorations to match my clothes color scheme. A few tables were set up with different kinds of foods, treats, and drinks on them, and the ponies I knew were all spread out either talking with each other, or enjoying the food, or dancing to the music that was played by a group of 4 ponies, one of which I recognized as Octavia Melody, who I had met briefly one day when she was performing in the castle. The guards' ponies were there too, sticking to the schedule that was set to allow them all to attend. Wasp and Zeri were hidden up on the ceiling as small insects. I couldn't tell what kind, they were too tiny to really see. I got a few hugs from the ponies I was close to, as well as a big hug from the royal sisters. A few presents were set up on one of the tables. Not a lot, just a few, which I was glad for. It made it easier to manage and would make each gift more special. While I was walking over to a table to grab a muffin, I bumped into someone and almost fell on my backside, but managed to steady my balance. I apologized to the stallion, who I had never seen before. He was a unicorn with bright white fur and a long, slick brown mane. His eyes were also brown, and his mark seemed to be a grandfather clock with gears sticking out of its sides. At first I wondered why he was here, considering that I specifically told Pinky and Celestia that I only really wanted ponies I'd met, but didn't want to appear rude, so I introduced myself. Once my name was given, he looked at me strangely before giving me his name and walking off. There was something about his name that gave me just a weird feeling. Like there was something wrong with him that I just couldn't figure out. It was close to the feeling I'd gotten from that silhouette. Clockwork.